There is a reason this song feels euphoric even when you don't fully understand why. It is engineered to feel like hope. But hope is not what it's describing. This song is about emotional displacement, the act of placing meaning, direction, and personal light into another human being because you don't know how to generate it yourself. At its core, this is not a love song. It's a dependency song that sounds like love. The narrator doesn't speak from a position of balance. He speaks from below. From awe. From emotional hunger. The other person isn't framed as a partner, they're framed as something vast, elevated, almost cosmic. That framing alone tells you everything about the relationship dynamic. The moment you turn a person into something celestial, you stop relating to them as human. You don't negotiate with stars. You don't question them. You don't expect reciprocity. You revolve around them, and that's the first quiet fracture in this story. The song constructs a hierarchy where one person provides illumination and the other receives it. One shines. The other survives by proximity. That might feel poetic, but psychologically, it's unstable. Healthy intimacy requires two sources of light, not one. This imbalance is never corrected throughout the song, and that's intentional. Coldplay isn't describing a resolved relationship. They're documenting a state of emotional suspension. The production amplifies this illusion perfectly. The gradual build mirrors infatuation. The delayed release mirrors longing. When the song finally explodes into sound, it mimics the emotional high of believing you found something, or someone, that makes everything make sense, but emotional highs are not foundations. The intensity distracts from the absence of structure. There is no narrative of growth. No mutual discovery. No shared struggle. Just admiration escalating into surrender. This matters, because when admiration replaces connection, love stops being relational and becomes directional. Everything flows one way. The narrator frames the other person as the counterweight to darkness, not just in the world, but internally. This suggests an emotional environment where the narrator does not feel whole on his own. The other person isn't an addition to his life. They are the solution to an internal problem. That is a dangerous position to put anyone in. Because the moment someone becomes responsible for your emotional stability, they inherit a burden they didn't agree to carry. And when they inevitably fail, not out of malice, but out of humanity, the collapse feels catastrophic. The song never addresses this risk. It romanticizes the surrender. That's not accidental. That's realism. People inside emotional dependency don't see it as unhealthy. They see it as meaning. As purpose. As clarity. They finally feel anchored, even if the anchor is external. The imagery associated with the song reinforces this theme relentlessly. Brightness everywhere. Movement everywhere. Yet the central figure is drifting. Surrounded, but ungrounded. Stimulated, but disconnected. This is what emotional displacement looks like in modern life: high sensation, low grounding. The narrator's devotion is unconditional, but not mutual. The other person remains undefined, not because they're mysterious, but because they're a projection surface. They don't need depth in this narrative. They only need glow. And glow is easy to fall in love with. But glow doesn't hold you when things fall apart. There is a subtle emotional desperation beneath the optimism. The narrator doesn't describe shared memories or lived experiences. He describes impact. Effect. What this person does to him, not who they are with him. That distinction is crucial. When love is described entirely in terms of personal relief, it stops being about connection and starts being about escape. The song never confronts the question of sustainability. It lives in the moment of emotional elevation, the part before reality intrudes. The part before imbalance demands correction. The part before the person you idealized reveals limitations. That's why the song feels suspended in time. There is no future in this narrative. only intensity. And intensity is not intimacy. The reason this song resonates so widely is because it captures a very specific emotional state, the feeling of finally seeing light when you've been in darkness for too long. In that moment, you don't ask where the light comes from. You just move toward it. But if that light belongs to another person, you're walking into dependency whether you realize it or not. Coldplay doesn't condemn this. They present it honestly. Beautifully. Seductively. Because emotional dependency often is beautiful at the start. It feels like rescue. Like transcendence. Like arrival. The danger only becomes visible later, when the person steps away, sets boundaries, or simply stops shining as brightly as they once did. At that point, the sky goes dark. And if you never learned how to create your own light, the darkness feels unbearable. The song ends without resolution because this pattern rarely resolves cleanly. There is no lesson learned mid-relationship. There is only continuation, until something breaks. That's the uncomfortable truth at the center of this track. It's not telling you that love is dangerous. It's telling you that worship is. There is a difference between walking beside someone and orbiting them. Between sharing light and borrowing it. Between admiration and self-erasure. This song lives in the space where that difference is ignored. And that's why it feels euphoric and hollow at the same time. The final message is not hopeful, but it is honest. If someone becomes the source of your emotional sky, you are no longer standing on your own ground. And when they move, because people always do, you will fall.